All right, hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today I am so excited to be doing a video on my Ultrahuman Air ring, and this I've had now for 6 months. I got it in last year in August of 2024, and I feel like the 6-month mark is a pretty good time to determine like your experiences and share about your what you like, what you don't like, and just I wanted to encapsulate that all in a review and just share about why I love it, why I might not like it, and how it sort of compares for me to other sort of health trackers and wearables that I've worn in the past. Now, if you're not new to the channel and you've watched some of my videos here before and you're subscribed, you would have seen a previous video that I'll pop on the screen here that you can go and watch if you're more interested in that. I did do a previous video reviewing between 4 different, was it 4 or 3 different smartwatches that I have had the opportunity to try and test out. Now, I want to share a little bit of a background as to how I got here and my experience and passion for health data. So not only do I study and work in like healthcare and data and that sort of thing, but I also have been someone who has always really valued and found the data of yourself or your health really, really interesting. The first time that I sort of made this reality was when I purchased an Apple Watch Series 3, which was my first ever watch, and that sadly I had to stop using after I think 2 years ago when they stopped doing the watch updates for that specific series. So that was when I decided to actually update to the Garmin Forerunner 935, which I don't use currently at the moment, but I used this for a good year, and I really love the data that it provided me in regards to running, and running is sort of my primary sport, and I want to make that clear here in the beginning for anyone who is also maybe a runner, or if you're looking at like purchasing the Ultrahuman Air just for either data, or if you do any sort of sports, if you go to the gym, I'll talk about that and sort of like share about how the ring sort of picks that up in terms of activity. And then I switched to the Apple Watch Ultra 2. Now, I actually don't use this anymore, and it is because of this ring here, and I want to talk about that because this thing not only cost me $500, it was expensive, but it also is obviously just so much more bulky and clunky to wear on your wrist. It definitely left like some marks from like this sort of like a strap, but also just like wearing this backing for a long amount of time sometimes would cause irritations on my skin. But I wore this for a good year before I finally just sort of stopped. I had a time period where I did wear 2 watches at the same time. That was a bit crazy, but in reality, I sort of like to have one fitness trackable that's more geared towards my running so that I can sort of see all of my training stats in one place. And then I do still like to have something that's like separate to kind of just like everyday health. What's my step count? What kind of sleep am I getting? And so that's why I had the Apple Watch Ultra 2. I don't wear either of these anymore, but let's talk about all of that today. I want to start by saying that the Ultrahuman Ring Air was sent to me by the Ultrahuman team. The only thing that they asked for in return was just to share my very candid experiences about it on my podcast, which I have and I will be uploading to as well. But I wanted to bring this to YouTube as well in a more of a visual format just to kind of share and do comparisons and just show you the ring up close because I think that it's so pretty. But I want to start by saying that I think the experience in just obtaining the ring in the beginning is really, really nice. I'm going to be talking about this sort of from the consumer perspective. So when you go to purchase a ring, I think it values at around $349. I think it's maybe slightly cheaper in the UK. I do have a code that I will put on the screen. You can use one code for their actual website if you want to buy directly, and then I have another code that is specific to Amazon because they now sell the Ultrahuman Air ring on Amazon. But when you're going to buy the ring in the first place, the first thing that I think is very notable is that you get to choose from 5 different colors. I went with the Bionic Gold, but they also have Raw Titanium, Aster Black, Matte Gray, and Space Silver. I'll take this off just to kind of show you, and hopefully it focuses on it up close. But I think that this is so cool, and you can kind of see like the bits inside where obviously it's taking all of your health data, but I think that the gold has been super pretty. I know that companies like Aura will actually charge you extra if you want to purchase the gold option. So I think that firstly, to be able to just choose the gold for free was amazing. They also offer engraving and I think a trade-in option as well, but they will send you a sizing kit in the mail before they send you the actual ring, and they'll send you just a big set of like a bunch of plastic rings, but they're all of like different sizes obviously, and they typically encourage you to wear them and just see how you feel with them, you know, overnight, during the day, and just see which one is like going to be the best fit for you. So I figured out my ring size, and then I got to order my ring and it came in the mail, and it was very easy to set up. It comes with, I did a whole unboxing video on TikTok, and maybe I'll put that on the screen here, but it comes with the ring, it comes with a charger, and it also comes with a cable to charge with, and it's a USB-C cable. Now, I think one of the key drivers for choosing Ultrahuman over Oura Ring is simply that you don't need a subscription to access your own data. I think that that is one of the wildest things to me, is that even after purchasing an Oura Ring, you still have to pay a monthly subscription in order to access all of your data, whereas Ultrahuman Ring just gives you access 24/7 anytime you want, and they're constantly coming out with new features, which is so cool. And in the last 6 months, they've come out with a new ovulation and period tracking feature, a new smart alarm feature, all of which I've been super impressed by, especially as a woman, and especially someone who really gets into sort of like period tracking and wanting to understand that a bit better. It's really interesting to see how something that's like obviously on your finger, taking your temperature and your HRV, can sort of link to that data. And I think that that is always going to be more accurate than say like a period tracking app, where you're sort of just feeding the app information about when you're having your period and your symptoms, whereas this seems to be just a bit more accurate. Some of the other key drivers that Ultrahuman Ring Air offer is that they claim that they have unmatched accuracy. So they say that fingers provide more accurate biomarker data than wrists due to higher blood flow and arterial density. I'm definitely saying that wrong. Obviously, it's also 11 times lighter than say a smartwatch, and definitely my Apple Watch Ultra 2, compared to typical smartwatches weighing only 2.4 grams. And then ultimate comfort. It's crafted with precision, featuring a hyperallergenic, smooth inner lining for unmatched comfort and a barely there feel. I can say, as someone who has run now a marathon with this, I've done lots of training sessions, I've done, you know, I've been in the gym with it, I've done a high rocks with it, I've done so many different things and traveled, and this thing just, you barely feel it, but it's like, you obviously you know it's there, but it's never going to be something that is like something that I'm super aware of and I'm like annoyed about, or I'm like trying to take off. It's just sort of there, and it's really light, and it doesn't really bother me, and you know, I can run the entirety of a marathon and barely think about it. And the only things that I'll ever worry about are the fact that it is not waterproof, but water resistant. So anytime, the only main concern that I ever have with it is that I sweat a lot, and so far I have not had any issues with it. I've also had some very rainy runs where I've also been worried about it, and it still is great. So that is awesome. One of my top favorite features, I would say, other than like the period tracking and the smart alarm, is definitely how it tracks sleep. Oh my gosh, this is the most accurate sleep tracker I've ever worn in my life compared to all of these watches that I wear. I do also wear a Coros, mostly for running and just a more simplistic watch and just kind of gathering my running training data. But with most other watches that I've worn, I've never had sleep accuracy like this ring. And I want to do a screen share of like sharing like a previous night of sleep, where I run you through like how it really uncovers not only your sleep stages, but also what affects your sleep quality. You can unlock personalized tools for better nights. It'll give you a sleep score like some other wearables do, and I think that that's always like a fun thing. I have hit 100 one time, but typically I do aim to be in the 90s, and I love seeing the little Sleep Ninja score thing. It's always great to see, but it really does break down your sleep in terms of your total sleep, time in bed, restorative sleep, when your HR dropped, your sleep efficiency, temperature, restfulness, consistency, total sleep. I can go on. I think one of the craziest things though for me personally, especially as a runner who runs marathons and does a lot of really big events, is that I obviously will nap from time to time, and something that none of my other wearables ever could track or pick up was whenever I took a nap. Whereas anytime that I've taken a nap, this thing in the app will be like, hey, we think you took a nap from this time to this time. And I'm like, holy crap, yeah, I did. And I don't know, for me, I think it's so cool. Some people might find that a bit creepy, but I think it's so cool. And it'll then like add it to your overall sleep score for the day, and it might go up a little bit, but it'll be like, you're sleeping. But yeah, I feel like they really break down like sleep stages a lot better than other apps or wearables, and I really enjoy it. Another element that I really enjoy about it is that it has a whole section around your recovery, so you can look at your dynamic recovery, which analyzes key physiological markers for a real-time recovery score. You can understand how sleep, stress, rhythm, skin temperature, and HRV all affect your body's restoration. And so you can improve recovery with power naps and breathwork techniques. And they actually have little breathwork techniques in the app that you can just access and go and practice and do a quick breathwork technique, which for me, I'm someone who does get anxious, but I'm not someone who is very mindful, but I'm trying to practice more mindfulness. But like, I don't want to pay for something like a Calm app or, you know, one of those really great looking apps. Like, I don't necessarily want to go and pay for that because it feels like a little bit of a commitment. Whereas this just offers it with the app, which is amazing. And I think it's great to kind of just like jump in, do a quick little breathing exercise, and then jump back out and kind of feel a little bit better. Another thing that is really cool about it is that it obviously takes your skin temperature and it will give early indicators with temperature metrics. Sometimes it has been really accurate in saying, hey, it looks like you're a bit feverish, aka I might be getting a little bit sick. Sometimes I do feel like, you know, say like doing a race the day before, or participating in a big mass event, or being out in a big crowd over the weekend, or traveling somewhere. Obviously all those things add into your overall health and really add to whether or not you'll be sick. But I think that that's a really cool feature of it as well. But yeah, it also measures the impact of stress, so you can regulate stress with your body's natural rhythm, and it'll have like a phase delay zone, and it'll show whether or not your stress level is optimal for good sleep. Obviously also tracks HRV, so there's continuous HRV monitoring. Another thing that I find really cool about this is actually the caffeine permissible window. And as someone who is a coffee lover herself, I wouldn't say that I necessarily pay attention to this in the morning when I'm going out for my 6:30 a.m. run, but definitely around this time of day where it's about midday almost. And this is about the time that, like, yes, I should be tapering off of caffeine, but like today, for example, it showed me an app, a notification that around like 1:30 kind of said, hey, this would be a good time to start tapering off of caffeine. And over time, I can actually genuinely say that it's led to me actually developing habits around caffeine, which I definitely didn't have before. I feel like my approach before was like, oh, who cares? It's just coffee. But realistically, at the end of the day, caffeine affects your body, affects your ability to fall asleep at night. And I've become someone who, like, after, you know, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I'm on the decaf coffees. I'm not having any more caffeine. And I feel like it would take a very serious situation, like a big test or something at school, to want me to kind of go for another caffeinated beverage at 12 or 1 o'clock p.m. But I would say like my real hard like cutoff is definitely 3 p.m. No caffeine after 3 p.m. because that is going into crazy territory, aka when I used to be in college 10 years ago and I had absolutely no boundaries with caffeine. I also want to share on screen just a little bit of a comparison that they have on the website that I think is really helpful when you're looking between the Ultrahuman Ring, Garmin and Whoop, and Aura. I think that you can kind of go on to look at some others that they compare against: Apple Watch Ultra, Garmin smartwatch, Whoop strap. And I think that it's a really great comparison when you're looking at weight, form factor, real-time metrics, sleep, movement and workout recovery, function, GPS, battery, unique value proposition that it offers, pricing. It's all super interesting to look through. So I think that if you currently have a different wearable and you're looking to make the switch, or you're looking to, you know, have this ring as an additional, you know, wearable in your day-to-day wearables, like I technically do wear two, but this is a much simpler approach for me than say wearing the Apple Watch Ultra 2 in addition to another fitness smartwatch for my running. The only thing that I will say about the ring is that it's not very accurate with, say, being able to track exactly like what workouts that I'm doing. It'll say that they detect that you did an activity. So they detect that you were moving, you know, faster. Either you're walking fast or you're going for a run or you're cycling, and it'll detect it between like different time windows. I wouldn't say that it's accurately detected every single time that I've been active, aka like if I'm out for a walk and then I go on a run and then I go cycle somewhere, like it won't detect necessarily all of that. So I wouldn't say that it's like the best, most accurate thing in terms of like tracking activities, but it will sort of track like overall in a day your number of steps, which I've never really compared all of my different step counts for a day. So I might quickly just kind of go into a random day and pick that up from different apps. But I think that it's pretty accurate when it comes to step count as well as just overall activity. And typically I think the most accurate thing it does detect is when I have gone for a long walk. But when it comes to runs, I would say it's a bit 50-50. It doesn't always detect my running for some reason. But again, that's why I wear a Coros and I have a different wearable on my other wrist that I use specifically just for running. That kind of wraps up the video. I feel like there are so many details that I could go into, but these are sort of the things that I wanted to touch upon and chat about. I'm more than happy to do another video, maybe comparing this to another watch or just talking about my overall experience as a runner wearing both. Let me know in the comments what you would like to see. But I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and comment down below what you would like to see from me in the future. Otherwise, I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Oh, and don't forget that you can use my code if you want to save some money on an Ultrahuman ring, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.